Hello guys, this is James. A few days ago, some of my friends had a fierce discussion about how to really draw the curves. By the look, we know that it's like from the user page of a mobile application. And his conclusion is like, okay, maybe he will just go to the Photoshop to make a shape like this and use the picture as a background. However, I want to mention that in the CSS itself, we have a very handy tools already to draw it, the border radius. I mean, for many of us, maybe border radius is something we just to draw something like around the curves around the border, right? But actually, it is more powerful than we thought. So today, we are gonna get the bottom of the border radius. All right, I have created a HTML page and I put some text already. First step is to initiate the layout. I use, as always, the root inherit and the margin top to initiate the layout. The second, let's focus on this tag. What I have said here is the height and the width, each one equals to 160 pixels because it depends on the EM value, right? We have talked about that. And then we set the background, niche color, and the border radius. Let's say it will be a square, the P tag, the block, and then we set each of the border just 50%. Let's just see what it will look like. All right, it turns out we get a circle like this. And how we get a circle? To explain it better, let's just make it 20%. What we have done is here, the border radius equals to 20%. We will use 10 EM either from height or width times 20%. We will get 2 EM for the radius. What the CS has done is in each color, they just draw a circle with 2 EM. Here, draw a circle with 2 EM, follow my mouse. Here, draw a circle also 2 EM, here 2 EM. All right, we have already the square like this. And now let's just imagine the full circle overlap with this square. We will trim the corner of the square that doesn't overlap with the full circle. We will trim the corner. Also here, trim the corner, trim the corner, here, trim the corner. All right, then let's go to the 50%. Why it's a circle? Because here we draw the circle of 5 EM, something like this. Also, the right corner, something like this, bottom right, and bottom left. By chance, the four circle we draw just have the identical shape. So when it interact with a square, it just trim the rest of it, then it become circle already. So just imagine we cut the paper, right? We first cut a square paper, then we trim the border, and then it will become another shape like our circle. All right, we already know that by using this, we can set the value for the four color. But what if we want to set the value individually? And let's just try something here, for instance. All right, we have set 4 value for the border radius. Let's see the result. Let's really observe that the curves become bigger and bigger because here we really set the value bigger and bigger. So the first thing what we can get is the border. It actually have clockwise the order setting from the top left to top right to bottom right to bottom left. That's why this value just applies to this. So we really can set individually. Second thing is that what if we just want to set 2 values rather than 4 values? What will happen? Let's just check. So the first value will just assign to this, the top left and bottom right, whereas the 2 EM will give it to the top right and bottom left. So that's the result of setting 2 value. And if we set 3 value, it will be 1 EM, 2 EM, 3 EM, and just note the last one, the fourth one, will become the same as 2 EM. So the middle one. How we set from 1 to 4 value the result. If we recall, setting margin and padding is also like this, right? 1, 2, 3, or 4 value also can be set to the margin or padding. What I want to say is that not just for value, actually you can set 8 values based on the x-axis and the y-axis. To make it simple, I have use another p tag and we set something here. Let's say it looks something like this. And then if we give it a slash, we set it also 3, and then that's what happened. There's no change, right? If we just change some values here from 3 to 1, let's see what happened. Look, it changed a little bit. Now we should analyze it in terms of x and y axis. X-axis refers to the horizontal radius. Look, it seems to remain the 3 em. The y-axis refers to the vertical radius. The vertical one seems only 1 em. Setting 8 value means that in each column we have to imagine there are 2 axes. We can change the value x and y to change the shape, right? With the 8 value, we can make something even crazier. For instance, we can set here 10, here also 10, and here also 10. It totally depends on our creation. We will be able to make different shapes here. However, there's one question pop out. Can we set it like even bigger? Like here we set it 100 and let's say here 100. What do we know? Okay, the shape changed. We can see a big curve around the bottom left, but the other color seems very flat. So the question is that what's the rules to apply if we really put a super big radius value out there? If you refer to some materials, they might tell you that the CSS will automatically reset the exceeding value to the minimum value between height and width. Means it will set 100 to 10 em. That's the smaller one between height and width. And the rest of the value of the border radius will remain the same. But that's really not the case because we can do an experiment. Only change back the 100 to 10 and then let's see if the shape has changed or not. Let's set it back to 10 and 10. Let's see the shape. Obviously it has a discrepancy with the former shape. So that's really not the rule here. Just to change back the exceeded value. To illustrate it better, I just will uncomment 2 tags to make a comparison. Now let's just check at least 2. Both of them have a height of 10 em and a width of 20 em, but the only difference is that the color is different and then the border radius, one is 510, and the other one is 51. So exactly, it has a 10 times bigger than that one, but let's see the presentation on the screen. It will be exactly the same. Now we can deduct something from here if all the 4 value of a border radius is proportional to the other one. In our case, the other value is 51. 51 is just 10 times smaller than 510, 510. Both of them will yield out the same shape. How about now we have 8 values, each one just for one axis in one color? What will happen? Now let's just uncomment this one and this one. Since in CSS, if we define something twice, the latter value will replace the previous value. So it's safe to do something like this. And as we see that, respectively, the 8 values in each border radius have a relation of 10 times to each other, like 5, 50 to 500, 1 to 10, 20 to 200 em, right? Okay, let's just test if we will get the same shape. All right, they really have the same shape, like this. Now I think it's very convenient to imagine that as long as the value in each border radius is proportional to each other, then we can always get the same shape. So let's uncomment the next one, 25, 0.5 em, to observe if we get the same shape. So still the same. So now maybe we can draw some conclusion already. Maybe not yet. Before that, let's just uncomment the last value. As we can observe, it put a denominator of 50, means from 500 em, we divide it by 50. 500 em over 50, we get 10 em. 10 em over 50, we get 0.2 em, etc. In a word, it's still proportional to all the values above, but can we get the same shape? Let's check it out. It's something different already. So why it is like that? Well, let's make it simple. In the border radius, the 8 values, there are 4 values, 500, 500, 200, 200 exceeds the minimum value 10 em. 10 em is the smaller value between height and width. Now, if we want to get the same shape with a smaller border radius, we can really put a denominator here. As we have experimented already, we have put a denominator of 10, so 500 become 50. Also, we put another denominator 20, so 500 become 25. Until when? Until here the 200 has become 10 already. And 10 refers to the minimum value between height and width. This is the threshold. If we just make the value smaller, then we will not get the same shape. Alright, I will repeat the formula by setting another example. Step 1, we check in height and width. We find the width is smaller, only 15 pixels. And then we go to step 2, we go to the border radius. We see that there are 2 values exceed the 50 pixels. If we want to use the smaller radius but get the same shape, we give a denominator to the 20 pixels, the smaller value that exceed the width, 15 pixels. With the denominator, it will be changed to 15 pixels, and then later other border radius value will change in proportion to that. So finally, we'll get 75 pixels, 15, 7.5, 3.75. Until there, we can still get the same shape. Any other denominator to make the border radius even smaller, we will definitely not gain the same shape. So that's the rules. All right, and then let's just go back to this example, how we can make this one. I think it will be very simple, right? The top color remains the same, and then the bottom becomes a curve like this. So I have made something like this. The proportion of it is like this one, but it is enough to illustrate. As we see that, we just set both the top color 0, so it will remain rectangular. However, we just set something about the bottom. Let's see. The axis x, we give it a 10 em, and then the y-axis, we give it a 3 em. I think it's just fits. Let's just see the result. All right, here will be something like this, right? Of course, we can have some modification, but more or less, it's something like this already. Then the last one. What also can we learn from making different shapes? If we add some animation, it will even looks better. So here, I just make the div tags here, and let's just check the CSS. The outer wrapper, the spin container, have this width and height, and it has a spin animation, and it will be set in the middle of the screen. Then the middle layer will really set the border radius, and it will have animation. Look, it will really change the shape of the border radius constantly. And then the inner one, it will just have our background image. The spin refers to this one. The outer wrapper will spin right at this speed. Let's check. Look, it's really spinning, rotating like this. And if we look at the border, it's really changing, right? The shape is different. With the animation, we can even be more creative and create something fancier. So that's for today, and I'll just make a very quick summary. The border radius cannot just make some tiny curves on each of the border, but it can really make different shapes. And we can set not just 4 value like padding or margin, we can set 8 value. Each refers to one axis. The second thing is that if we have set some exceeding values, what will happen? We should know where is the threshold, where is the critical value. The last one is with combination of animation on the change of border radius, we can make some fancy animations out there. So thanks for watching. I will see you the next.